You're wrong. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I can't trust your nose anymore. Just some of the comments I get on videos where I talk about fragrances that people have a different opinion to me on. So I thought I'd revisit some of those fragrances to see if, in fact, I was wrong. Here's the thing about opinions. Everyone's entitled to one, and it's not about being right or wrong. Some people out there think you're wrong if your opinion doesn't match with their opinion. As someone who puts forth their opinion on YouTube, it's a bit of a minefield. You're sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if you give something a positive review, there's going to be people out there who think it's bad. If you give something a negative review, you're going to annoy the people out there who like that fragrance. But what we all need to do is respect each other's opinions, and there might be a whole host of reasons that people don't like a fragrance. Maybe it doesn't work on their skin. You know, we've all got different skin chemistry. A lot of people will say, bro, I used to trust your nose and now you've given this one a bad review. I like it, so I can't trust your nose anymore. And it's not about trusting noses. I'm not asking you to trust my nose, and nor is any reviewer out there. It's just about seeing a collection of different people's opinions and then going out there and trying it for yourself, because the only nose you can trust is your own. It's not about trusting anybody else's. So it's all quite amusing, really. I find it quite interesting that some people can get so triggered when someone's opinion doesn't match with their own. It's quite bewildering, really. Anyway, I thought it would be interesting to revisit some of the fragrances that I've not really enjoyed when I've reviewed them. There is one here that is the opposite of that, one that I did enjoy that was quite divisive. So I've given all these fragrances some more wearings just to see if my opinions have changed. So not to see if I was wrong, because at the time of the videos I believe I was right in my opinion. So after a bit of time has passed since I've talked about these fragrances, I want to see if my opinion has changed. So we're going to dive into these. I'm starting off with two La Mal fragrances, actually, two La Mal flankers. I wasn't very positive about either of these. We've got La Mal Aviator and La Mal On Board. I've talked about this one very recently. I did an unboxing. Both of these underwhelmed me. And I think when it comes to La Mal, I'm a harsh critic because I love the original La Mal. That was a game-changing, iconic fragrance. It's so distinctive. You wear that, people know what you're wearing, people will smell you. It's a fragrance I wore as a signature scent for probably over 10 years, so it's played a big part in my life and my enjoyment of fragrances. So when new La Mal fragrances come out, I sort of judge them against what the original did. Aviator, I just felt was indistinct and bland, and it didn't have great performance. I know not all fragrances have to have good performance, but when I spray it on my skin, I want to smell it. And I think I smelled this in the opening for about 20-30 minutes, and then it's a skin scent. And at no point during that opening was it a fragrance that excited me, that I thought was a game changer, that I thought could become iconic. I thought it was very lackluster and indistinct. And I pretty much thought the same thing about La Mal On Board. I said that this was sort of a hybrid between Aviator and La Mal Eau Fraiche, nowhere near as good as Eau Fraiche. Again, a bit of a sort of generic, boring skin scent, and I know that there are people out there that will say, oh, Chris loves his niche fragrances, he's a niche snob, he's not going to appreciate these designers, these mass appealing designers. Well, I do appreciate design. I love designers. Some of my favorite fragrances are designers. The house of Tom Ford, Dior, Chanel, fantastic fragrances. Designer fragrances can be very good and can be distinctive, but I just felt that these two weren't. I just thought that they missed the mark. I don't really think that there was anything different about these, anything exciting about these. So when it comes to these, my opinions haven't changed. I still think they're lackluster releases, unfortunately. If you want to go with La Mal fragrances, obviously the original, if you think that's a little bit overplayed, a little bit outdated, then Ultramal, La Mal Le Parfum I really enjoyed, and La Mal Eau Fraiche. You're not going to go wrong with any of these. Le Beau is pretty good in the navy. So there have been some decent La Mal flankers. These two, I still maintain that I'm not that interested in them. I just think that they're boring. Right, okay, that's the La Mal fragrances done. This is an interesting one. This was quite divisive. This is Gentleman Givenchy Boisy. When I bought this, I smelled it off strip in store and I really enjoyed it. I thought it had a good, strong opening iris, a little bit of a chocolatey vibe to it. I thought, great, that is a good fragrance with some structure, with some attitude, but very mass appealing. It's got that powdery iris quality that we find in the Dior Homme line, in the Prada L'Homme line. I got it home, I put it on, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it disappeared. The opening was okay. I got a reasonable projection. It wasn't amazing, but it just faded on me so fast. And I've worn this again recently. Same thing happened. It could be my skin. Maybe I go anosmic to it, but my opinion on this one is that it just didn't work for me. And I really wanted it to, because I liked that initial opening when I smelled it off the test strip. And other people out there have said this is a great fragrance. Someone even said in the comments, you know, what am I talking about? Because they sprayed this on, it was that strong, they had a shower, and the next day their wife even mentioned it, that they could smell it after a shower. I can't smell it after 20 minutes. Let alone after having a shower. So, I mean, wow, the person who wrote that comment, you have great skin for this fragrance. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's not about whether someone's right or wrong. It's about how it works with your skin. And this either just doesn't work with my skin or my nose. Either way, it was just a fragrance that I wouldn't reach for, because it fades too quickly. And even the opening, as nice as it was, it didn't wow me enough to want to stick with this fragrance. So yeah, I worn it again recently, same thing happened. For me, my opinion is, if you want a fragrance sort of similar, if you want something a little bit different to the iris you find in Prada L'Homme and in the Dior Homme line, try this one. Try Ooh La La from Theo Cabanel. You get that iris, but you get some tobacco in there as well, so it's nice and rich. There's some hazelnut, really gorgeous, rich, powdery iris fragrance that I think you might like if you like iris in fragrances. So give this one a try. Great performance off this one. It lasts a long time. It's that compliment getting style of iris that's in this one. So if you haven't tried Ooh La La, I definitely recommend looking into it. It's a niche fragrance, but it's not an expensive niche fragrance. So Ooh La La would be my recommendation. Okay, the next one I think has been even more divisive. It's the latest release from Hermes. It's H24. This was always going to have a hard job to follow the original Terre d'Hermes, because that has become such an iconic fragrance. It's got this amazing reputation, and I think people smelled this and they just thought, well, this isn't an icon, this isn't a mind-blowing fragrance. I don't think Terre d'Hermes is a mind-blowing fragrance. It's a really gorgeous citrus vetiver scent that over time has gained this reputation as a great fragrance. I think it's too early to say whether this will be a great one or not. For me, I liked it because it's distinctive, it's got character, it's doing something different. It's not just trying to replicate the Terre d'Hermes formula and become another flanker of that fragrance, because there are enough flankers of that one already. So it's doing a different thing. I think they've taken a risk and I applaud them for that. I love this floral metallic blend that we've got. It smells contemporary, it smells modern, which is exactly what the brand was going for. I like that fresh, clean, freshly ironed laundry sort of smell. You can still smell the heat of the iron. You get that sort of warmed up metallic smell. A lot of people were just bored by it. A lot of people thought, nah, this is not something I'm interested in. I think people thought it wasn't distinctive enough, and obviously I respect all those opinions. You know, not every fragrance is going to work for everybody. But when I first reviewed this, I really enjoyed it. I've worn it again recently. I wear it quite regularly actually, and every time I wear it, I really enjoy it. I've got it sprayed on my hand here, and I just think it's a decent fragrance. It's not mind-blowing, it's not a game changer, not yet anyway, but as I said, I don't think Terre d'Hermes was initially when it came out. But I think give this one a bit of time, and I think it will sort of gain a bit more love than it has got. But yeah, very divisive initially, but I stand by my opinion on this. I think it's a good solid fragrance. There are better fragrances that I have, but I don't think it's a bad fragrance at all. So H24 from Hermes. Finishing off with another very divisive fragrance. Some of the comments have been funny with this one. This is Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Forever. I love Light Blue or Intense. I think it's a great fragrance, one of my favourite designer summer fragrances. I was a little bit negative about this. I did say I really enjoy the opening. It's got one of the most realistic grapefruit accords that I've ever smelled in a fragrance. It is juicy, tart, everything that you would expect a grapefruit to smell like. So if you like that sort of thing, this is good. But after that initial opening, it did fade again, and it just faded to become one of those indistinct sort of woody, designery types of smells that I wasn't really smelling very much on myself, and I didn't think it was a particularly interesting smell. So it's a shame that they couldn't follow the strong opening with a strong dry down as well. But a lot of people obviously really love this fragrance. They've told me so in the comments. They've told me that it lasts a long time. It's the favorite from the light blue line, and that's great. Unfortunately, it wasn't amazing. It didn't really work for me. I've given this another wearing because I saw Ashton did an update video after he did some initial impressions on this, and he stands by it. He says that he really enjoys this fragrance. He thinks it's one of the best grapefruit smells, and I agree. After having given this another wearing, I actually like this even less than when I initially mentioned it, because I was talking about this fantastic grapefruit opening, and I sprayed this on recently. I gave this another wearing, and I thought, do I really want to smell like a grapefruit? I mean, grapefruits smell nice, but when I wear a fragrance, I maybe want to smell of a mix of grapefruit and other things, but literally the opening of this makes you smell like a grapefruit, and that's not a bad smell, but I would prefer to smell of other things as well. So if you like photorealistic, fruity, citrus scents, then this is one of the best out there. This is one of the most realistic, fruity citrus notes in a fragrance that I've ever smelled. But yeah, I just thought, I kind of don't just want to smell like a grapefruit. So that is why I have sort of slightly changed my initial opinion. So it's actually got worse than when I initially talked about this. But there you go. It's not one that particularly works for me. So there we go. There are a few fragrances that I talked about that quite a lot of people didn't agree with me initially, but I just wanted to make this video just to reinforce that if you have a different opinion to me or anyone out there on YouTube, that's fine. It doesn't matter. That's what makes the world go round. It doesn't mean anyone's right or wrong. If you love something that I don't like, you're not wrong. You're just being honest in your opinion, which I respect and I think is great. So sorry there wasn't a bit more drama in this video, that there weren't any 180 changes in terms of my opinions on any of these. I find that when I first wear a fragrance, on that first wearing, I can pretty much formulate my full opinions off that. I will then go on to wear it for another few days, a week, a couple of weeks, but I find that how I felt about the fragrance on that first wearing is the opinion that I pretty much hold. So when I talk about them on camera, I think it's unlikely I'm ever going to come back and have a complete change of mind on fragrances. It might happen. I'm not saying it won't. You know, our tastes change, and sometimes maybe I'll try something in winter and it doesn't work well in the cold, and maybe I'll try it again in the summer and it works much better. But that's how I feel about these fragrances. Let's all just remember to respect each other's opinions. No one's right, no one's wrong. They're all just opinions. Go out there, trust your own nose, enjoy your fragrances. Let's not think too much about it. Let's not analyze things too much. It's just a fun hobby that we're all doing. All right, so there are my opinions on these fragrances. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, keep tuning into FM, keep smelling good, and I'll see you in the next one.